A blind girl enters the forbidden woods to save her love, but awakens a monster and uncovers a deadly secret that will destroy everything. Today, I'll be recapping the 2004 horror mystery film, The Village. So, keep your eyes wide open and stay safe. Drop a comment with your next movie request, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Covington is a small, isolated village in 19th century Pennsylvania, surrounded by a thick, mysterious forest. The villagers live with a strict rule: the woods are off limits. Why? Because lurking within the trees are monsters. These creatures have been haunting the village for years, their presence marked by eerie howls and skinned animal carcasses thrown into the village as warnings. The villagers believe they've reached an understanding with the monsters. They stay in the woods, and the people stay in the village. The boundaries of their world are clearly defined, lit with lampposts at night, but no one dares to cross them. It's been like this for years, and the villagers are terrified of what might happen if the monsters ever break the agreement. The children are raised on stories of the creatures, told that the monsters are meat eaters with large, sharp claws. The villagers wear mustard-colored cloaks, marking them as the safe color. In contrast, the monsters wear red, a color that represents danger, and despite several frightening events, the elders insist that the monsters have never crossed the boundary. But what happens when the unthinkable occurs? What happens when those boundaries are tested and the darkness of the forest begins to creep closer? One elder, August Nicholson, is devastated when he loses his son to an incurable disease. The tragedy weighs heavily on him, adding to the already tense atmosphere of the village. Meanwhile, a young man named Lucius Hunt asks for permission to venture into the outside world, to go to the towns, in hopes of bringing back medicine to cure the mental ailments of Noah Percy. His request is denied. The elders are adamant about maintaining the rules of the village. They will not allow any breach of the boundaries that have kept them safe, no matter the reason. The villagers live a simple, technology-free life, one where the past has been buried, and the outside world is nothing more than a distant, forbidden memory. But Lucius isn't ready to give up. He's determined to help Noah and bring change to the village, even if it means defying the elders' strict orders. The tension is building, and the line between safety and danger is growing thinner with each passing day. Kitty Walker wants to marry Lucius, but Lucius is closer to Kitty's blind sister Ivy. Ivy, who can sense things others can't, feels a strange connection with Lucius. She says that Lucius has a color around him, a feeling she's had since they were kids. Ivy believes that Lucius has always had feelings for her, even if he hasn't spoken them aloud. Meanwhile, Noah brings berries that grow only in the woods, something that piques Lucius's curiosity. He believes that because the creatures have never harmed Noah, presumably because of his innocence, they won't harm him either. This thought gives him some hope as he prepares for what's next. Lucius's mother, Alice, who is one of the village elders, warns him to stay away from the woods. She pleads with him to refrain from risking it all, but Lucius refuses to listen. Instead, he presses her about opening a black box, an item every elder holds that contains secrets from their past, secrets that could change everything. Lucius wants to uncover the truth, but Alice, like the others, holds tight to the past, refusing to reveal the truth, even as danger begins to loom ever closer. Lucius enters the woods on a patrol, hoping to prove that he can face the creatures head-on. He returns safely, but that night, something changes. The creatures enter the village, and the peaceful boundary between them and the humans is shattered. In the chaos, Lucius saves Ivy from being attacked by one of the monsters, risking his life in the process. His bravery doesn't go unnoticed, but Lucius knows he's made a mistake. At the town hall meeting, he admits his error openly, taking responsibility for his actions. The elders forgive him, understanding the desperation that led him to break the rules. The creatures' actions grow more desperate as the nights drag on, but they still haven't harmed anyone. Yet, the villagers, unsure of what to do, begin sending meat tributes, leaving them at the edge of the jungle for the monsters to consume, hoping it will satisfy them. In an effort to uncover the truth, the elders conduct interviews with each villager, trying to separate the truth from exaggeration. They want to understand what the villagers have seen, what they believe, and what might be hiding in the shadows of their fears. Lucius and Ivy decide to marry, but Noah suddenly stabs Lucius in a violent outburst, and he's quickly locked away. Despite this, Ivy refuses to let her love for Lucius fade. She is determined to save him, and she wants to go to the towns to bring back the medicine that could save his life. Her father, Edward, surprisingly takes her side in front of the elders, even though most of them do not agree with his decision. They remind him that, as an elder, he too took an oath to renounce the outside world. But Edward stands firm, unwilling to let Ivy suffer the same fate as so many others who have been trapped in the village's rules. Before Ivy leaves, Edward shares a deep, painful secret with her. He tells her about his wealthy father's murder, a tragedy that has haunted him for years. Edward believes his father was murdered because he stayed in the village instead of leaving when he had the chance. He feels that if his father had left, he would have survived. Then, Edward drops a bombshell. The creatures in the woods, the ones that the villagers fear so much, are not monsters at all. They are, in fact, the elders themselves, disguised as the monsters in order to keep the villagers from leaving. The creatures, the howls, the fear, it's all part of an elaborate legend perpetuated by the elders to keep the younger villagers from escaping. The skinned animal carcasses, those were thrown into the village by the elders, taking turns to create the illusion of danger. Edwards explains that the monsters were modeled after one of the creatures in the history books he used to teach when he lived in the towns. He then opens up about the deep emotional pain each elder has suffered in their lives. Every elder has experienced a loss so devastating that they questioned their own will to live. And now, Edwards believes, by denying Ivy the chance to save Lucius, the elders are trying to make her suffer the same way they did, trapping her in pain and regret. In a final act of defiance, Edwards gives Ivy money to buy the medicine, hoping that she can break free from the village's suffocating grip. Edwards, having made his decision, goes to explain his actions to the other elders. He tells them that the elders won't live forever, and that Ivy and Lucius will carry their legacy forward. He believes that their actions, though harsh, were for the greater good of the village. With his support, Ivy sets out on her dangerous journey. She is provided with 2 escorts, but they abandon her at the first sign of danger. They argue that if the creatures attack, they would rather the monsters kill the boys first than a blind girl like Ivy. Left on her own, Ivy pushes forward with determination. Not long after, Ivy is attacked by one of the creatures. She quickly realizes it's not a real monster. It's Noah, disguised in the costume of the beast. When Ivy reaches a field full of red berries, she uses her knowledge of the land to her advantage. She tricks Noah into falling into a ditch she had encountered earlier, and the fall proves fatal. But Ivy's journey isn't over yet. She soon comes across a massive wall, one that marks a boundary she must cross. Carefully, she begins to climb, her determination driving her higher. Meanwhile, back in the village, several elders open their black boxes, revealing mementos from their past lives. What Ivy doesn't know is that Covington isn't really stuck in the 19th century. The truth is far more shocking. The village exists in the present day, not the past. The illusion of a bygone era has been carefully constructed to trap the villagers, and the elders have been hiding the truth all along. The village of Covington was not born out of chance, but from the mind of Edward Walker. After the tragic murder of his father by a business partner, Edward sought solace. He joined a support group for people who had lost loved ones to violence, hoping to find peace and healing. But instead of just finding comfort, he conceived an idea. A way to protect others from experiencing the same pain he had endured. Walker envisioned a small, isolated village, a place where the people who joined his support group could escape from the dangers of the outside world, away from the possibility of loss. He wanted to create a life that would shield them from the chaos of the real world. To make this vision a reality, he built Covington deep inside the Walker Wildlife Preserve, a place where the world seemed far away and untouched. A large wall surrounds the preserve, ensuring no one could simply wander in or out. Even the skies were kept clear. Precautions were taken to prevent airplanes from flying overhead, so that the village would feel completely cut off from the modern world, maintaining the illusion that it was a rustic, rural haven. The people inside would be free from the outside world's dangers, but at what cost? The village was, in the end, a carefully constructed cage, a place where the truth was buried beneath layers of deception. Ivy, already on edge from the dangers of her journey, is startled when she encounters the sound of vehicles and strange noises that are completely out of place in the village's secluded world. But, to her surprise, she is greeted with kindness by a group of strangers. They help her get the medicines she desperately needs, offering support in the most unexpected way. One of the men not only provides the medicine, but also helps her climb back over the wall, aiding her return to the village and the life she's trying to save. Meanwhile, back in the village, Edwards believes that Ivy's encounter with the creature and her subsequent courage must have made her think that the monsters are real. He convinces himself that his words earlier were simply to give Ivy the strength to face her dangerous journey. He tells himself that it was his pep talk that gave her the courage to go beyond the village walls, even though the truth is much darker than he understands. The tension in the village rises as the elders gather around Lucius's bed, having just learned that Ivy has returned, and that a creature, Noah, has been killed. The room is heavy with the weight of unspoken truths, as the village braces for what's to come. Edward, ever the pragmatist, comforts Noah's grieving parents, offering them a cold, calculated reassurance. He tells them that their son's death will serve a purpose. It will allow the village to continue the farce that creatures inhabit the woods. To him, Noah's sacrifice is simply a means to an end, an essential part of the ongoing illusion that keeps the villagers in check. The lie will persist, and the cycle of fear will go on. So, which awesome movie should we recap next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below and let's make it happen. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button so you never miss out on our movie recaps. We've got plenty more coming your way. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. Produced by Movierecaps.